Because they marched, America became more free and more fair.
50 years after Martin Luther King spoke of his dream, thousands returned to the National Mall to live the dream.
We've come much too far from where we started.
We need to love one another and practice the brotherly love and harmony that Martin Luther King preached.
Tonight, the nation honors, celebrates, and remembers the March on Washington 50 years later. And it was a day to relive history and to create new memories.
Thousands marched through the streets of D.C. today while making their way to the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. That's where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke his famous words.
And today, the country's first African-American president spoke in the same place from which Dr. King stood 50 years ago to make that speech. D.C. Bureau Chief Sam Ford begins our team coverage from the mall. Sam.
Yes, Gordon. Well, the fact that a black president stood in that spot, a lot of people I asked today, what do you think Dr. King would have thought? And of course, a lot of people thought, well, it would have meant that at least one of his dreams had come true. This was a great day for many people here, despite the rain, despite problems getting in for some of the people because of all the security, because of the president. But the rain seemed to stop for the most part, and it was a grand and glorious day for many here at the Lincoln Memorial. 50 years after Martin Luther King made his speech, here at the Lincoln Memorial, presidents and the daughters of deceased presidents, all of them Democrats, gathered with the King family and friends and remembered. President Obama said the march changed America.
Because they marched, America became more free and more fair, not just for African Americans, but for women and Latinos, Asians and Native Americans.
Former President Jimmy Carter said all the presidents there owed their success to King's legacy.
Every handshake from Dr. King, from Daddy King, every hug from Coretta got me 1 million Yankee votes.
When life gets me down.
While most of it was political, there was the cultural, lots of music and dance to emphasize the international appeal of Dr. King. It started hours earlier with a morning march from Capitol Hill. Some 700 marchers passed the Labor Department where employees came to the steps to wave.
And I'm enjoying it. I'm here for myself and my kids.
Some of the marchers said they could not miss it, like a husband and wife from Asheville, North Carolina.
Because I was here 50 years ago and I figured I needed to come back.
You know, I wasn't here 50 years ago, but when he talked about coming, it was no question in my mind that I wanted to come. What Dr. King did was so important to change the mindset of the country.
And whenever we talk to people, we often ask them if things have changed. And some people will say things are no better than they were 50 years ago or worse than they were 50 years ago. President Obama addressed that today, saying that to say that there has been no change dishonors those who marched here and in some cases gave their lives. Reporting live from the Lincoln Memorial, Sam Ford, ABC 7 News.
And we thank you for that, Sam. Many other politicians, civil rights leaders, and celebrities took to the steps of the Lincoln Memorial all day to deliver messages and to pay tribute to the people who came before them. Greta Cruz joins us with more on those messages. Greta?
Well, Gordon, what was really striking here, 50 years ago, the primary focus was on race, equal rights for blacks. Today, that stage was so much bigger, including immigrants, gays, people with disabilities, all saying America has to carry on Dr. King's fight for equality and justice for all. The rain could not dampen the spirit.
Amazing grace, oh how sweet the sound.
Presidents past and present, black and white, share the famous steps, saying Dr. King's dream has partially come true.
Yes, there remain racial inequalities in employment, income, health, wealth. But we don't face beatings, lynchings, and shootings for our political beliefs anymore.
But much more still needs to be done.
Let us ask ourselves, how will the dream live on in me, in you, in all of us?
Each generation must rededicate itself to the unfinished work of building a free and just America.
Everybody my age and all the entertainers, it's time for us to stand up now and renew this dream.
The answer is a blowing in the wind.
Folk icons share the stage with civil rights icons. John Lewis, the only surviving speaker from that day, recalled a city braced for violence, but that instead saw peaceful marchers dressed in their Sunday best.
We must never, ever give up. We must never, ever give in. We must keep the faith and keep our eyes on the prize.
And the bell tolled, marking the moment when Dr. King delivered his historic speech.
We must seize this moment, the dawning of a new day. Let freedom ring.
And speakers also plugged specific causes today, such as D.C. voting rights and Obamacare, and highlighted continuing economic disparity, saying it doesn't matter if you can sit down at the lunch counter if you can't afford to buy a meal. Back to you.